I'm so glad that that question was asked. Um, I posted something the other day that said she doesn't look, sound, or act like a healer, right? Or a spiritualist, whatever you want to call me, as long as it's something nice that you call me. Anywho, and the response that it gave back was the universe isn't looking for actors. And that's exactly what I want y'all to understand. Like, y'all think I'm just like pulling downloads from some random galactic place or something. Like, maybe it's y'all look at my life and y'all think, well, since she knows all the answers, she must have got it all right. Baby, I got it all wrong. I got it all the way wrong. And then I figured it out. And now I'm trying to pass the information on to you so you don't have to figure it out the way I figured it out. You want to do it the hard way? Unfollow me. Go on about your business. Do what you want to do. But if you don't want to do it the hard way, I'm here. Okay? That's all I'm trying to get y'all to understand. So here's the thing. Do I think that any of my children were out of alignment? Baby, I know every one of my children was out of alignment. Okay? How do you know, boho? Because number one, so I have three children. I have four children, three fathers. Okay? The first one, I was 19. This is story time. And y'all are gonna have to go to YouTube for it because ain't no way I'm putting this in 3 minutes. So just it is what it is. First one, I was 19. I met a guy that was older than me. Just for the record, I always, even when I didn't know what alignment was, I knew what alignment was. Because even at 19, I had my own place, 2-bedroom apartment. I had a corporate office job with Bank of America. I worked for both Wells Fargo and Bank of America corporate office in my early 20s, 19 going into like 22, 23. Baby was popping, okay? Baby girl was popping. I knew what I wanted. I knew what I didn't want. I was very responsible. I got amazing grades in school, despite all the trauma and the other stuff. Like, I knew from what I had gone through and what I had learned as a child and what I saw and, utilizing my gifts and all that, I knew what alignment was even when I didn't know what alignment was. So, baby, I had my shit together. I knew I didn't want children, all of that, right? So I met this guy at my job. We ended up talking, we ended up dating. He ended up moving in with me. And after all of that, mind you, there were no red flags. There was never a time when like I couldn't get in touch with him. There was no like insecurity issues. There was no drama. There was no fighting. There was no arguing. There was no weird stuff. There was no red flags. There was no nothing. Okay. And all of a sudden I pop up pregnant. And I'm sitting here because I was like, ain't no way. Because I use protection every single time. I don't even play that. I don't even play those type of games. Now, mind you, why did I choose protection? Because I already knew back then that birth control wasn't it. I knew I wasn't supposed to be on that. I was like, there's no way I'm not supposed to take that. Even though I didn't know why, I knew I wasn't supposed to. So I didn't use it, but I used protection. But this man, he was older than me. He was like 27. And I was like 20 at the time, 19, 20. So, dating or whatever, he ends up moving with me. And then I end up pregnant and I'm like, I have no idea how, because I know I did not have accidents. I did not do any of that. And I'm like devastated. I'm devastated. So I go home to tell him and he basically is like, finally. And I'm like, finally, what does that even mean? And he's like, yeah, I've been poking holes in the condoms for months. Like, I thought you were never going to get pregnant. And I'm like, are you dead ass right now? Right there. That's out of alignment. Okay, like, I knew that wasn't right. Shortly thereafter, his wife that I didn't know about found where I lived and he wasn't there. But apparently he had moved out from living with her and didn't say anything. Left her, left a newborn baby, all of this. I didn't know anything about this wife or this kid. And I'm just thinking, I live with my boyfriend. Like, everything's been fine since the day I met him, right? So this woman comes to my house. By this time, I'm already pregnant. I wasn't happy about that, but I just kind of didn't know what to do about that. It was still in the early stages or whatever. And she basically comes to my house and rings the doorbell and she's like, oh, I'm looking for him. And I'm like, who are you? And she's like, oh, I'm his wife. And I'm like, he doesn't have a wife. And she's like, yeah, he does. And it's me. And I'm like, wow. Okay. Long story short, I ended up leaving him. And he basically told me, if you leave me, then you and your baby are on your own. And I said, Saya fucking Nara, bitch. Because at the end of the day, his solution was, oh, let's just run away and go be together and raise our child and leave all of this behind. First of all, what about that child that you just had? It was damn near a newborn. It was like 4 months old or 6 months old or something. And then you have a wife. I'm just supposed to leave the country or the state or whatever with you, and you just leave these people behind. Why would I even want to be with somebody like that? So I cut that off. He stalked me for a while, and then I moved out from where I lived and moved back in with my grandma, because obviously at this point I'm just like, ugh, right? So yes, that was 100% out of alignment, okay? But I cut it as soon as I figured out it was. That's how I got it back in balance. Now, does that mean that that child was no longer out of alignment? No, that was still out of alignment. Does that mean I don't love him? Absolutely, it does not mean that. Absolutely not. It doesn't mean that. But it doesn't change the fact that he was brought here out of alignment, whether it was my fault or not. So that's why when you guys come in my comments and you're like, but I didn't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you didn't know. Once you knew, what did you do? Did you still keep being with that person? Did you still, you know what I'm saying? It matters what you do after that, because you could either make it worse or you can try to clean it up as much as you can. Second one. A few years later, I met my two daughters, the middle kids, father, and we were friends first for a while. We were friends, and then he ended up asking me to be his girlfriend. I agreed. We were together for a couple years. He ended up asking me to marry him. I agreed. But I'm not going to lie to y'all. I knew from the beginning that that was not someone I was supposed to be with like that. He was a very good friend to me. Like, we were friends. He made me laugh a lot. He was funny, but just there was something inside of me the entire time. I wasn't like physically attracted to him. He wasn't my type. But, just even beyond that, it was just this eerie feeling of like, this is not the person I'm supposed to marry, but I married them anyway. And this is important because this is the part that I wanted to explain to you guys, how you guys are saying stuff like, oh, well, if you have a baby outside of marriage, then it's out of alignment. You can have a baby inside of marriage that's out of alignment, which my two daughters were. Okay, so I remember before I even dated him, I said, I don't want children. I have my one son, and the circumstances surrounding that, because I was always honest about that. I said, and I don't want it anymore. So if you want children, I would not be with me if I were you. And he was like, oh, no, I'm not tripping off kids. I don't want kids, blah, blah, blah. Like, we're in agreement about that, blah, blah, blah. Soon as a few years pass and we end up being married, the first thing out of his mouth is kids. And I'm like, dude, I literally said that I don't want kids and you agreed. Like, so why would you wait till we're married and then put me in this position? Now I feel horrible. Now I feel like I'm like a terrible wife or whatever. So long story short, I end up agreeing to one. The crazy part is I literally said to him, I don't want to end up the single mom of 3 kids. I said, that's because he was like, why don't you want a kid? I said, I don't want to end up the single mom of 3 kids. I had already saw the vision. I saw the vision of me being a single mom of 3. Now, mind you, I only had 1 at the time, and he was asking me for 1. And he's like, where are you getting 3 from? I'm like, I literally could see it. I could see it. In my vision, I was pushing a stroller, and then I had a toddler walking, and I had a bigger kid. It was 3. So we end up having that daughter. I was pissed about it the entire time. I was never happy about it. It never felt right. Okay, so number 2, out of alignment. The third one came out of alignment, and this is a little bit graphic. I'm gonna have to figure out how to say it without the video getting taken down. So basically, you know how after you have a baby, you're supposed to wait 6 weeks before you have any type of sexual contact. Well, at the 6-week mark, my husband at the time was basically like, it's been 6 weeks, I'm ready. And I was like, well, I'm not, because first of all, I don't even like you. let's just keep it real. I'm not attracted to you. Second of all, I have this newborn that I didn't want, that I love to death, but I didn't want, and I'm pissed about it. So leave me alone. And he basically pushed and pushed and pushed until I was like, and I thought this was actually gonna work. I was like, if you want it that bad that you're gonna literally harass me for it, it'll have to be with basically like with my non-cooperative body. It's gonna be like my dead body. I'm just gonna lay there like a corpse. And he said, okay. And he did what he had to do while I laid there like a corpse. And then about 9 or 10 weeks later, I got rear-ended by a huge truck. I walked away unscathed, but when they did an x-ray on me to check for bodily injury, concussion, they found my third daughter. Out of alignment, to say the least. Okay? I was devastated because I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean you found a baby? Like, I thought you were checking for a concussion. I was damn near cussing the hospital staff out because I was like, why were you even looking for babies? Like, as if it was their fault. And they were just like, ma'am, we're just telling you what we found because we thought you might not be aware. And I was like, I think you're wrong. I was like, I just had a baby, so maybe you're finding leftovers of my pregnancy. I'll go to my OBGYN on Monday. Y'all don't know what you're talking about. So I go to my OBGYN that following week, and she's like, you must love me. And I'm like, she's like, see you for another 9 months. And I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? And I'm like, I said I wanted none, and I'm on 3. And then it hit me. I'm like, oh my God, I had that vision of me being a single mom of 3. So at that point, I'm just like, oh, here we are. Like, I literally was warned, and here I am, right? So 3rd baby out of alignment, and I'm not even cooperating. Like, I'm not trying to be judgy. I swear I'm not. But it's like, I'm not even like those people that are just like trying to have babies. I literally was trying not to, and I still ended up with out of alignment babies. So, okay. So we're on number 3 right now. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on. I'm literally miserable, blah, blah, blah. So, okay, I end up divorcing him because I was like, I'm not going to stay in a marriage that I know I'm not supposed to be in. Like, I don't like this one bit. Like, and by the way, I ended up marrying him because, not only because he asked, but because the pastor of our church was basically like, when are y'all going to get married? Every single week. And at that time, I was like Christian. So I was like, and they kept saying, oh, y'all still living together and not, not married, huh? Like, basically pressuring us. And so that was why I said yes. I don't know why he asked, but that's why I agreed, because I felt pressured due to my religion to be married. So there's that. So once again, I'm back. I'm at the divorce stage at this point. He was also a cheater, just so y'all know. So I was just like, okay, I don't like you, like you're a cheater. It's just not right. At the time, it was just everything was out of alignment. I didn't know that then though. Okay. I'm just like, what the fuck's happening? Oops, sorry. What the hell is happening? So now I'm on, single mom with 3 kids, exactly like my vision showed me. Here I am with my 3 children, one, 10 months apart for the girls, and then my older son that was a few years older. And I'm like, wow, I literally ended up exactly where I was shown I was going to end up if I went down that path. So anyway, a few years go by again, and I meet my youngest son's dad. And it was pretty much the same situation. Now, this is why I say I'm a throat chop y'all, because y'all don't listen. Because literally that was me, and I needed somebody to come throat chop me, because I literally did the same thing again. I allowed the pastor at our church at the time, again being a Christian, to pressure us into getting married. When I married this man, he was literally hungover / drunk and couldn't even say the vows. He was slurring the words, like he was saying the wrong stuff. And it was so embarrassing. Like, when I tell you my stuff was so obviously out of alignment, it was insane. So I ended up having a child with him because he didn't have any. He wanted one, and I felt guilty that he was helping me take care of my other children and he didn't have any. So I felt like, if I'm going to be this guy's wife, I got to give him at least one child. So I gave him one child and I got my tubes tied because I was like, nobody else is getting a child out of me. Like, this is it. I'm done. So yes, and that was also out of alignment. I didn't have permission. I didn't ask permission at the time because I didn't know, and I got my tubes tied. So am I out of alignment? Absolutely. Okay, so how did I get it back on track? Was the second part of the question. You can't really change the things that are out of alignment, but you can try your best to deal with the circumstances you've created and try to get back in alignment, right? The things that are out of alignment will still be out of alignment, but you can make it better, okay, by making better choices going forward and being more aware. So what I did, I would not suggest on anybody because I am one of them ones. I did everything the most hardest way, but I made sure that it was all hard on me and none of it was hard on my kids. Okay, so I just felt like since they didn't ask to be here and it was out of alignment clearly, my solution is no matter what happens while I'm raising them, I'm going to make sure it happens to me and not them. And so I almost didn't make it here because I went into depression putting all my kids first because it was like it was never in me to be a mom. So imagine having to do something every single day that you can't wake up and say, "Oh, I don't want to do this," or I didn't sign up for this. These other people are the ones that wanted these kids, and I ended up with them. Like, it's not that case. And please don't take this as I don't love my children. I absolutely love my children, but I'm being honest with you, okay? Which is something that this world needs more of. So I put them absolutely first. I did everything I had to do so that they had a normal life, a life that wasn't going to lead them to trauma or more trauma, and honestly, to this day, like, my kids, they have no idea when I hear them talk about their childhoods and all these fond memories that they have. It just makes me know that everything I did was exactly right, like, for the reason that I did it. Because I don't want them talking about memories that they can't stand, or horrible things that happen to them. I sometimes, when they're all in the same place, because my son is an adult now, I hear them talk about their childhood memories, and it's all positive. And that's the hard part, because it's like, once you mess it up, especially if you've messed things up for someone else, you got to fix it for them. And that's why I am encouraging y'all to not be bringing these kids here for these selfish ass reasons, dude. That is the stuff that takes you off of alignment, and it also can affect them in their life. So I hope that answers your question. And there's a lot more areas in my life where I've gone out of alignment. That's why I am here to tell you what's out of alignment. So you don't have to do it the hard way. I had somebody in the comments saying, well, part of it is we need to go through the hard stuff to learn the lessons. No, you freaking don't. That's option B. You have option A, which is try to not go out of alignment. Not saying that you need to be perfect or you're going to, but you can try. Why choose the hard way?